Hey, I know it's Saturday. I'm really glad you guys are here. We're going to go as quickly as possible without going too fast so that we get you guys out of here, but you guys are form experts by the time you leave, okay? Certain things we're going to go over in depth. Other things we're just going to show you because it's just, we don't have to do it. Certain things you're going to do, and we're going to make sure every single person does it perfect before we move on. Other things you're just going to watch, okay? The first thing we're going to talk about before we even start is mindset. And the reason why I want to take 5 minutes to talk about mindset is because the harder you work, the more you give, the more you're going to get back, all right? And the first thing I want to talk about is framing, because this is really important. The reason why I ask everybody when they walk in, I go, you ready? Are you ready? I always say that when people walk in. It's because I want to see where your head's at. Some people are like, yeah, you know. Other times people are like, yeah, let's do it, right? When you go to an amusement park, you just pretend you all like roller coasters, even if you don't. When you go to an amusement park, you'll stand in a line for 2 hours to be scared and have your stomach do flips for like a minute. I mean, a ride usually lasts like a minute, 2 minutes tops. Well, you're getting scared, you're feeling all these feelings of, you know, exhilaration and fear, and you're asking for it. So you're excited, you're like, yeah, bring it, let me do it again. But if you were sitting in your car and all of a sudden you had the exact same feeling of a roller coaster, you'd be freaking out. It would be an anxiety attack. You'd be like, oh, make this stop, I hate this, this is the worst feeling in the world. Oh my God, you should have seen how I felt, I never want to feel that way again. But it's really no different than the feeling of when you're on a roller coaster, the feeling that you literally waited 2 hours in the hot sun for. Why? Because of the way you framed it. You framed it in a certain way where you said, I want this feeling is fun, give it to me, let's go. So a workout like this hurts. It hurts really bad. It hurts in the burning of your muscles, your lungs. You feel out of breath. All the feelings where your mind tells you to stop. So it's really important before you come in to frame it in a way where you go, I want all these things. These things are good. The more I feel this way, the better I'm going to get. So framing is super, super important. Another thing is, other than just your goals, which, well, let's talk about goals, all right? I'm going to go over goals for like 30 seconds. Write them down. Now, everyone shakes their head, yeah, okay, yeah, I know, write your goals down. But honestly, if I were to poll everybody, probably only maybe 5% of people write their goals down. Goals in life, goals in boot camp, goals, whatever they are. Only 5% probably actually take time to sit there and think, what do I really want? And write it down. Something magical happens when you write it down. I'm not going to go into how it works and why it works. I'm just telling you it does work. If you take 5 minutes and write down your goals, it's going to help you be successful. It's like an 80% more success rate when you write them down. From there, we're going to go to thinking of the one, I call it the one thing. So for me, I have a thought. There's one thing, and it's a situation where no matter what, I wouldn't stop, like no matter what, until I died. And so my little thing in my brain that I've come up with is, this is just me. You can come up with your own things for you. But I have 2 daughters. And so I imagine if I was in a building like the Empire State Building, and there was a fire, and there was a helicopter on the roof. And so basically, the fire's coming up, going up all the stairs, and you cannot slow down because 1, the helicopter is going to leave, and 2, the fire is climbing very, very quickly. So I would have to carry them because I could go faster if I'm holding them. But by the time you're going up like 200 flights of stairs, your legs are burning, your lungs are on fire, the smoke's getting to you, your arms are burning, but you wouldn't stop because stopping would be worse than the feeling you're feeling, right? So no matter how bad it hurts, you can't stop because those are your kids, right? So I get this weird thought in my head, and I'll use burpee push-ups as an example because I think burpee push-ups is probably the hardest thing that there is in the world. Just a burpee push-up sucks, especially when you do like 20 or 30 of them, 40 of them, or even 50 of them, right? So while you're doing them, you start off like, yeah, I got this, boom, and you're doing them, and all of a sudden that little voice in your head's like, oh, dude, you know, like the more the lactic acid goes to your body, this weird voice is like, just take a breath, stop for a second, it's okay, take a breath, you know? If you can find that one thought, like as soon as I think that thought, maybe because I'm sort of OCD about things, I think, well, now that I thought about that, now I really can't stop. And so I just make myself do it. But the consequence, the good consequence of me having this little OCD thing is that I get super, super, super fit, and my cardio goes through the roof, and now I can do things that there's no way I could ever have done before, okay? I could fly. I could freaking, no, I'm just kidding. No, all right. So, as a matter of fact, no. All right. So if you could think of that one thing for you, no matter what that one thing might be, it doesn't matter what it is. So that, and it's like a muscle. You get better at flipping that switch. You'll be feeling that feeling, then you think of that one thing, and then you hit it, and then you get to that next level. And the last thing I'm going to talk about mindset, there's a thing in working out. I don't know if you guys got my emails last night, but it's called the gap. The gap is the time in between stations, okay? So let's say you're doing presses, and the next station is TRX pulls. Well, when you're done with that station, it's the time it takes you to then start the next station. Now, sometimes the gap is really big because people stop a little early, then take their time to get there, get set, fix their hair, tighten their scrunchie, and then start going, right? So there's a big gap. The more you could close that gap, the more fit you're gonna get. I'm telling you, and if you could, sometimes this stuff is just about being aware of it. Like sometimes people are like, well, I never thought about it. Like there is a gap and I gotta close the gap. So these simple concepts carry a lot of weight with them, all right? So doing an exercise to the very end, sprinting to the next station, and challenging yourself to get started right away by closing that gap, you'll see, you'll get, I call it the zone, the super zone. You get into this zone where all of a sudden, things that you couldn't do before because you would feel like, I'm literally getting so tired I can't move, you break through, and you get to this point where you could just, it's uncomfortable, but you could go hard the entire time, and you get to this new level. So that's what I wanted to talk about with mindset, and there we go.